In the day 3 notes, we were able to do the elimination method because we always had a number in front of one of our variables that were opposite coefficients. Today what we're going to see is that we do not have opposites in front, and so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pay attention to step 2, where we can multiply one or both of the equations by a number to obtain coefficients that are opposites for one of the variables. So what we want to do is we want to take a look at our x's. Notice there's a 2 in front of this one and a 1 in front of this one. If we take a look at our y's, we have a -4 in front of that y and a -1 coefficient in front of this y. We can use or choose to eliminate either one of the variables. We could either eliminate the x's or we could eliminate the y's, and that really doesn't matter. That's going to be your choice. If I look to eliminate, let's say, the x's this time, is there a number I can multiply with the smaller coefficient, which is 1, to get the opposite of 2? And the answer to that is yes, I could multiply by -2. So I can go and multiply this whole side by -2. What's going to happen is I'm going to leave my first equation the same. So this is going to be 2x minus 4y equal to 4. And then I'm going to multiply the -2 to everything in the bottom equation. So -2 times x will give me -2x. -2 times -y gives me a positive 2y. And then -2 times 2 will give me a -4. Now I want to double check to make sure what I multiplied by is indeed going to work. So if I look at my x's, I have a +2 and a -2. Those are opposites, so if I add them together, I will be able to eliminate those x's. So my next step here is to start adding these together. 2x plus -2x, that's just 0, so those are going to cancel out. I have -4y plus 2y, which will give me -2y. And then I have 4 plus a -4, which is equal to 0. So from here, I want to continue solving for y. So right now, this y has a -2 in front of it. So to get rid of that -2, I can divide both sides by -2. And I get y is equal to 0. Then I go to my next step, where I'm going to take the 0 and I'm going to plug it into either one of my original equations. So I'm just going to go with the top one. And I get 2x minus 4. Here's where I'm plugging in what I got for y, which is 0. And that's equal to 4. So if I solve for x now, -4 times 0 is just 0. So I'm left with just the 2x equal to 4. And then I can divide both sides by 2. And I get x is equal to 2. So the answer that I have is I can write it as an ordered pair, which means my x would have to go first, so 2, 0. Or I could write it as x equals 2 and y equals 0. Either one will work. Now, make sure you check your answers. So you can do the check step right on your calculator, or you can write it down. It's up to you. To do the check step, I'm going to take my answer, which is x is 2 and y is 0, and I'm going to plug it into both of these equations, starting with the first one. So I'd have 2. So let's do check step. So I'd have 2. Plugging in for x is 2 minus 4 times 0 equal to 4. So what I did is I took the x value of 2 and I plugged it in right there for that 2, or for that x. And then I took y as 0 and I plugged it in for the y, which would be right there. Now if I evaluate this, I could do this in my head. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 0 is 0. So 4 minus 0 is 4. So I know the first one works. But remember, you can't tell if the answer is right by just checking the first one. We also have to check the second one. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug into the bottom one. X minus y is equal to 2. So x is 2 minus my y value of 0, and I want to know if that's equal to 2. And then again, I can do this in my head. 2 minus 0 is just 2, and I get 2 is equal to 2. Since it works for both of these, I know my answer is correct. If you have questions, let me know.